Well, I really started my career predominantly in public relations, which is really all about stakeholder engagement and taking care of your community, whatever that might be from the company perspective. Could be media, analysts, and as I've kind of evolved over the last several years, I've really moved more into a marketing or an integrated marketing communications role. And some of that is, I think, that the PR industry is going through huge change with the collapse of the traditional media model, and it's clear that that's where PR people needed to head, is more into digital PR and integrated marketing.
And one word of advice or takeaway from your talk today, as you shared the case study and some of the different concerns and perspectives from the companies that you work with and your clients, what would you say people need to have as the one key thing to remember in going into this area?
I would always say start with the business goal, not the social media goal. And I can't tell you how often that happens, where a client will come and say, we want this many followers, or we need this much engagement. And at the end of the day, it's, what is the bigger picture for the company, and what is the vision for the company, and how can that translate into social media?
So we still need things like strategy, segmentation, performance indicators.
Absolutely.
It's not like we're just reinventing everything. We need to have a purpose to it. So what would be your best advice for people that are just starting to get into digital marketing and communications, and they're a bit concerned of maybe making a mistake? What would you advise them to do?
Well, I would say, first and foremost, ask questions, ask a lot of questions, and be willing to take managed risks. So I would say, not to go too over the top, but there are ways you can take small managed risks that you will have support from your management, as long as it's not too far over that line. So by asking questions, you're going to know how far you can push that risk.
Are you a risk taker now? You seem like you've kind of dabbled in some high risk areas. Would you say
Yes.
that risk taking is part of the persona for this?
Definitely. I feel that, and I use the Oreo dunk in the dark for the Super Bowl, right? I mean, there was definitely a managed risk there, and look at how that turned out, right? And there have been other times where risks maybe have not paid off in such a big way, but until you really try, you really don't know what will be acceptable and what will reap reward.
And we do appreciate how much you come back and give back to the community and the students, and as a guest speaker. And I think the Twitter project that we were doing with the students, the Oreo tweet, outdid everything. All the multi-million-dollar ads for
Yes.
the Super Bowl, you had the dunk in the dark getting these amazing levels of engagement.
Stole the show, including
It's-
the game. Who remembers who played that year? I don't.
And was it a stunt, or did it happen organically, or what's going on with that? But why don't you tell us something about yourself that everyone might want to know, or might not know, or might not think
Yeah.
about you, something that's kind of unusual about yourself?
Well, I am an EMU grad, and I work very hard, and I think that a lot of people maybe might not know. Those that work with me know that I'm a hard worker, but in order to be successful, it takes a lot of work, a lot of risks, a lot of failures, a lot of successes along the way. But at the end of the day, you just have to be willing to put in the sweat equity, or whatever you want to call it, and work really hard. And I don't know if that's from my EMU roots or the fact that I self-funded a lot of my education. I just really believe that hard work pays off, and I did learn that from my dad.
The work ethic is really important, and that's something very difficult to teach.
Yes.
Now, as you built this kind of global company and worked very hard and got on the plane, and it looks real glamorous, but we know it isn't when you're running through airports and all that. But what is it that I haven't asked you in your specific area of expertise that I might have asked you about, or the hidden types of secrets that you might want to share with people as they're embarking on this venture and starting to build digital
I think
areas?
it's, along the lines of asking questions, and it's always be curious and don't lose a sense of curiosity. And there have been many times with clients where I've maybe asked one too many questions, and I think we all know when that when that happens, someone may get frustrated, or maybe they don't know the answers. But I've really never let that dampen my spirit of curiosity. You got to get in there and probe and continue to ask questions, particularly if you're a consultant or working on the outside. Of course, I like to believe as an agency partner that we work on the inside with our clients, but you really can't be afraid to ask those questions. And even if they're hard, your programs will be so much better if you ask the questions.
And so be curious, but push, but know when to pull back as well. So you got to use your instincts in terms of that. And that's
Yes.
one of the secret formulas for success that you've seen is do act like it's your business. Again, make it your business when you're working with the clients. And now this question is kind of the zinger question.
Ooh.
If you woke up tomorrow and all of your marketing, all your websites, brochure, digital, everything was wiped out, nothing left, every asset deleted, terrible virus or whatever we call it, but you still had your knowledge and your every media channel was still working. We just have everything is gone from it. What would you do or build first if you were starting over? What would be the most critical thing to have up and running right away?
I mean, to me, it would probably be some form of a blog where you could publish your point of view, your opinions, your, research or whatever it is that you had that were assets that needed to be rebuilt, and you can always generate social media and direct people to come to that blog. So for me, it would probably be some form of a blog, a Tumblr page or some WordPress site that could be published, and I would just rebuild from there.
So the dialogue would be the most important thing, to keep talking,
Absolutely,
keep
because
reaching
people
out.
can comment on those blog posts or whatever they are. You can send people from Twitter or Facebook to that blog post. In fact, I'm a little stunned at how much the Google Analytics it seems to be very important here at the conference, and I completely get that. But from what I'm seeing, the corporate website is important, but less important because there are so many other areas to publish and to get your point of view and to build relationships out there. So I don't know. I don't know that I would miss the website all that much, to be honest with you.
So the blog is key, the human to human is key. Now if you were, now this
Definitely.
might be a loaded question, because if you were social media, what type of social media would you be?
What would I be? I would be probably today, I think I still would be Facebook, or maybe a hybrid of Facebook and Instagram. I love visual storytelling. My minor at Eastern was radio, television, and film. So I'm very into, visual storytelling. So I would definitely want to keep that photo sharing, video sharing side of myself and my personality. I consider myself an amateur, very amateur photographer from my days at Eastern, but I still really enjoy that.
And so how do you see the co-creation of content where you're creating with your clients or customers and not beyond the
Yeah.
legal who owns what? What about co-creation for the future?
It is just from a marketing standpoint, as a marketer, it is so much fun. That is the one thing I will say. When you can see someone, interact with your brand in a way that you would never thought of by putting out photo sharing or some kind of way where you're opening up and a little bit of exposure, there's a little bit of risk there as a marketer. I just think it can be so much fun to explore and to see where your consumers take your brand in ways you never thought possible. And when you really open yourself up to that, I think it can have really a surprise and delight factor for marketers. But I think it's very effective.
Great. And finally, and thank you so much for staying with us and doing this after the
Sure.
panel earlier this morning and all the engagement that we saw. What do you see as next thing for your agenda? What do you see as the next thing that's getting you up at night and excited about? And what's the next evolution?
I would like to be part of, figuring out what the evolution of marketing truly will be. I think there was a great exuberance towards digital and social when it first came on the scene, and now that seems to have calmed down a bit. I think some more rational thinking is going into marketing. I think that makes it a very exciting time, but also the future is still kind of to be determined, and I would like to be on the cutting edge, I hate that cliche, but of what that is. And I think now that folks are settled in and digital has a role and PR has a role and all of, like I even said today in my talk, email newsletters seem to be coming back in B2B, and it's, the right channel at the right time for the right audience. And, if you take all the preference, I'm a PR person, you're a marketing person, and just say what's the right thing to target and to work and talk with our consumer, none of that will really matter. And so I want to get to more of an agnostic place in the marketing mix.
Favorite tools you couldn't live without, like if you were on a desert island, what tools would you,
Yeah.
in the digital Twittersphere, however we
Well, I mean, for me, I hate to say it, maybe this is just my age, but email is, let's just say, let me just start there.
Gotta have
I
email.
must have email. And then I think because there are so many digital tools, I'm hoping that there's going to be a really good aggregation tool out there that will combine the social media of choice for individuals that's really effective. I'm not really seeing that yet, and I think that's a great startup idea for someone, where I can bring in not just my Twitter and my Facebook and the Instagram, but really bring my digital life together. And I know that that's coming. There's some startup in Silicon Valley working on that right now, or revising a tool that has made a go of it, but just hasn't been successful yet.
Yeah, we have a lot of dashboards, but we don't really have true convergence that saves any time.
Exactly.
So we wanted to thank you again for
Sure.
spending this time with us today here on the campus of Eastern Michigan University. Thanks again to Janet Tyler.
Thank you. Go Eagles.